Hello, this is a demonstration on tramming the head on a Bridgeport type knee mill. What we have is two features. We have the nod and the tilt. These bolts right here control the nod. Well, they don't control it. They're clamps. And some machines have the bolts on the other side as well. Some just have 3 on one side. This one has 3 on the other side. First thing we're going to do is loosen these up. And the ones on the other side. Shouldn't have done that. Next, we're going to carefully loosen the front bolts that control the tilt. I keep them snug to keep the head from falling over. This screw controls the tilt. This screw controls the nod. I'm slowly going to crank this counterclockwise. I may need to loosen this up a little bit more. Now I can go counterclockwise and get it away from 0. What I'm going to be doing is creeping my way to 0. Same thing on this one. I want to start below 0. To get a rough start, I'm going to crank it up to where I'm about 1/2 degree below 0. Same with the tilt here. I'm also going to snug these bolts up because I don't want the head to tip over on the other side of 0. So carefully, I'm going to creep up to about 1/2 degree and make sure the bolts are snug. I'm going to start with my nod. Put my gear into neutral and make sure that I have proper swing with my button indicator, that I can get all the way on the tramming plate. Okay, at 12 o'clock I zero out the indicator. I give it about 10 thou preload and I zero out the indicator with the table. So there we're on 0. And then I move down to 6 o'clock and I turn the screw for the nod clockwise until I get back to the same 0. Back to 12 o'clock. I bring the table up to 0. It's about 10 thou preload. Go back to 6 o'clock. And with the nod screw, I go back to 0. Come over here to 12 o'clock. Bring the table up to 0 with a 10 thou preload. Back down here to 6 o'clock. I bring the nod to 0. And I keep doing that until I get close to 0. I want to leave about 5 thousandths to tune up later after I get my tilt. Preload 10 thou to 0 with the table. Go all the way to 0 with the nod. Preload to 0, and then I check it. I want to leave about 5 thou. I have about 4 there. Now it's time to do the tilt. I bring the table up with about a 10 thou preload, and I bring the table all the way up to 0. I come around from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and I don't want to go straight to 0 with the tilt because of where the pivot point of the tilt is. If I take 10 thousandths, it's going to give 10 thousandths. I've just moved 20. So I make sure that I make increments of less than half. Right here it shows I have about 75 thousandths from 0. I'm going to go less than half of that. I'm probably going to go 25 thousandths just to stay on the safe side. So carefully, I keep my palm on the side of the machine here, and I very carefully move the tilt. I just moved it 25 thousandths. I go back to 9 o'clock, and I back off the table, go back to 0 with a 10 thou preload. I also make sure that these front clamping bolts are slightly snugged up. Okay, I'm 0 at 9 o'clock, I go back to 3 o'clock. It shows that I'm about 28 thousandths out. I'm going to go less than half of that, so I'm only going to move it about 10. When I put pressure on the tilt, I may not see the needle move until I let go of the pressure. That's very important. So I just give it a little bit of pressure, I let go, and I watch the needle. There, I moved about 10 thousandths. Go back to 9 o'clock, drop the table, bring the table up with a 10 thou preload to 0. Go back to 3 o'clock. I have 8 thousandths there, maybe 9. I'm going to go less than half of that. I'm going to move it about 3 thousandths. There's 3 right there. Go back to 9 o'clock, drop the table, preload it back to 0. Go back to 3 o'clock, and I am within half a thou. I'm not going to mess with that, because even clamping the bolts could move it half a thou. Right now I'm very carefully going to tighten up the tilt bolts. I'm going to do this in sequence like a tire, with small torque to begin with, and work my way up to greater torque so I don't move the tilt. Now remember, we still have 5 thou left on the nod to do. I go back to 12 o'clock, put my wrench on the screw for the nod, drop my table, preload it to 0, go down to 6 o'clock, and there's my 5 thou. It's actually about 3. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go all the way to 0. I'm not going to cut it in half because of where the pivot point is on the nod. I can safely go all the way to 0. I could even go past it a little bit and be safe. Back to 12, drop the table, preload it to 0, check it down here at 6. I'm off by about 1 thou. I could probably chase that. Right to 0, and I'm within a thou all around. I'm going to torque these bolts up. Same on the other side, and we're done. Thank you very much.